Ooh, we're talking about generative AI slop today. You've probably seen a lot of it by now, and if I were to guess, I'd wager you probably hate it too. So does Disney and Universal, apparently, which is good, because every time I see it, it just feels dystopian. You know, AI has sound now? It's getting ridiculous. We don't typically cover AI content on this channel. The last time we did was about an AI Santa ad, of which apparently there's way more these days. AI, not Santa, it's June. But these two Hollywood giants are filling out a joint lawsuit against AI image generator service Midjourney for copyright infringement. Good! Finally, some progress. Or at least that sounds good on paper, but what exactly is happening here? And is this actually a big deal? Like, where does this go? This is a big thing. I mean, let's just start with some context. So Midjourney was an AI model that went into open beta back in 2022 that offered users the ability to quickly generate an image based off of a prompt that they input. Sounds like an interesting tool on paper, but the results typically aren't great. First and foremost, the result is usually full of strange artifacting, and this is because, unlike traditional art, the generative AI model is not actually a drawing. Instead, it's just mimicking existing final products it's already seen based on an image generation algorithm. And in order to create an algorithm like this, you need to feed an AI a lot of art. AI image generators take in source art to learn how to do a style, and then replicate that style based on a user-inputted prompt. This means that building an algorithm like this naturally requires a lot of data. And the way that most of these AI companies go about collecting that data is by scraping existing art from the internet without any copyright permissions. And in this modern world, there's been very little that artists on the ground can actually do to combat AI art scrapers. It's kind of just a reality that if you post art on the internet, it's pretty likely to get scraped. Anything on Twitter now has part of their terms and conditions that they can use it. Anything generally available can be scrubbed if someone's able to search for your image. And even me and one of my most popular videos, the terrible Lego movie ripoff, I found out a few months ago has been fed into some AI algorithm, and I can't sue them, so it's just out there. Thankfully, it was not a very well edited video, so I don't mind that much, I guess. While artists can actively filter their results with a tool like Nightshade, there's not much that can really be done about legacy animated content, for example, a lot of which has already been sourced for these models. And while this practice of scraping has caused other lawsuits before, this particular suit is the very first one from a major Hollywood corporation against generative AI. And it's really something when you consider that, you know, Universal and Disney, that they're rivals that are coming together to combine this lawsuit. AI art is by nature going to be creatively derivative, and is probably also art theft. But that's not exactly what Disney and Universal seem to be worried about in this specific lawsuit. They seem more concerned with AI art's capacity to destroy their business model through rapid image generation. And the fact that both giant studios have combined together just shows how seriously they're taking this. In fact, they have a history of direct competition with each other that pretty much encapsulates every branch of both companies. From films to theme parks, Disney and their rival Universal, owned by parent company Comcast, seem to always be neck and neck. So it takes a pretty big threat to their power for something to be seen as a common enemy to them. But apparently Midjourney is that big enough threat. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Both of these companies are intellectual property powerhouses. Disney famously has been spending billions of dollars over the past few decades buying up IP to include under its umbrella. From the Jim Henson Company to Pixar to Marvel to Lucasfilms to Fox, Disney is all about buying and controlling the use of IP. Universal is much the same. Their entire business model is based on using and controlling these IPs too. Generative AI, however, threatens this very model by being a really powerful tool for creating art that is derivative of other work really fast. And this is of course because generative AI scrapes existing art in order to train their models, so it's good at replicating that existing art. And so of course, this means that it's really good at making stuff from IPs that Disney and Universal would rather have complete control over. or at least shoved into a vault or something. Illumination, a studio under Universal, has taken a stand against AI before, using the Minions to poke fun at AI image generation in the lead up to Despicable Me 4. So it's been something at least on the minds of the animators and creatives for a while, but it's now a big enough talking point that the legal side of Universal has actually gotten involved. On the other hand, regarding the other plaintiffs' involvement here, the Walt Disney Company has, in particular, lobbied for the strengthening of US copyright laws over and over again in order to maintain complete control over its IP. So this sort of lawsuit is not at all out of character for the company. That said, there is more of an interesting topic when talking about Disney and AI, as they did recently allow the use of an AI voice model of James L. Jones to be used for Darth Vader in Fortnite. What is this timeline? And that has also led to him saying some pretty heinous things, but also has been patched. Even still, a lot of the things he did say don't exactly endear Disney to their AI experiment very much, and also kicked up a fuss in the voice actors guilds, so, you know. According to an email from Horatio Gutierrez, who is representing Disney legally in this case, we are bullish on the promise of AI technology and optimistic about how it can be used responsibly as a tool to further human creativity. But piracy is piracy, and the fact that it's done by an AI company does not make it any less infringing. So it's not exactly that Disney hates AI. They do seem to like it, in fact. They just don't like having their copyright infringed, which makes a service like Midjourney the perfect target for legal action from the media giant. It's about IP, not actually AI. Kind of. On the other hand, it seems like Universal is more concerned about their employees. Kim Harris, who is representing NBC Universal in the case, had the following to say in his own separate email. We are bringing this action today to protect the hard work of all the artists whose work entertains and inspires us, and the significant investment we make in our content. So yeah, Universal definitely has the better stance here, but it makes sense that from either perspective, copyright law is the way to go, because for sure, AI image generation seems at the bare minimum to be legally dubious in terms of how it interacts with US copyright laws. And if you really want to dig into things about how US policy works, the big beautiful bill that just passed also had an excerpt that AI stuff can be run unregulated for the next 10 years. So at least in that sense, on autopilot mode without lawsuits getting in the way and changing laws, AI is kind of able to run rampant. And it would take a lawsuit of this scale and this much capital behind it that would make any kind of dent on its current trajectory. Now, Midjourney's entire financial model is built upon subscriptions for image generation, and if I were to ask Midjourney to generate an image based on a copyrighted franchise, it wouldn't hold back. In fact, it would probably do it better than it could do something wholly original. If I were to ask it to generate a Shrek image, for example, it could probably do it so well that it could be mistaken as a real still from a movie by the average onlooker. In fact, I know it can do this because this was actually a real thing brought up in the lawsuit. According to the New York Times, these 4 Midjourney generated images were brought up in the lawsuit specifically. There's this AI generated Shrek, AI Vader, AI trio of minions, and an AI generated Spider-Man, and some less convincing others like AI Elsa too. Now they're all flawed under scrutiny, though I do have to say that Shrek one is actually more convincingly official than the others, though of course it is also informed by referential poses as well, so that probably contributes. But the point is that they all feel like they're going for a cinematic, official look, with Disney and Universal's precious IPs nonetheless. AI models feed on existing art, and these two companies are a massive provider of existing art to those models. Thousands of hours of their content available online for an AI to just observe and take from. Not only that, there is a nearly infinite well of fan art from these IPs online. AI is therefore uniquely equipped to flood the market with these cheap knockoff images. And while neither industry giant likely has much care for the small independent artist, in this endeavor, whatever happens as a result of this lawsuit will probably have massive ripples that affect the art world as a whole going forwards, which is generally pretty damn good news. I don't know if it's exactly going to solve my current Playmobil movie, Lost in the Void of AI-generated algorithms, but hey, any news is good news. And if Disney and Universal are able to draw a hard line at least on their own content and win their own legal battle, it opens the floodgates for other companies to attempt to do the same. Disney and Universal are rightfully concerned about the output of these image generators and about where they go next, because as far as they are concerned, AI models are a huge plagiarism generator that threatens their copyrights. And at the end of the day, AI technology is going to keep evolving. Though Midjourney started a whole 3 years ago, AI as a developing form is getting more and more imperceivable as AI. You used to be able to tell because of the artifacting, then it was the 6 fingers, and now they can speak and emote and sound as well. We're just on the edge where anyone can be fooled. Give it another 3 years and who knows where the hell we're at. And that's how long it takes to make a quick Disney movie from start to finish. And without regulation, AI is going to encroach more and more into Disney and Universal's territory. And everybody else's too. If there's ever a point where an AI version of this body on this set with this voice starts talking to you, at least you can know that you'll have to come to this channel specifically to know for certain you're seeing the real thing. It's kind of the only assurance I've got. So hey, I guess we'll take that as an excuse to subscribe to make sure you're seeing a real human being. I guess. Despite how obviously self-centered their motivation is, I really do want Disney and Universal to be successful in this lawsuit. I don't just want them to settle, you know? I fear that if they do so, it might just be a temporary band-aid fix that doesn't actually address the problem. Though the big corpo animation world may have all sorts of red flags for the people on the ground, a fight like this could very well be the good fight that represents all of us. And at the end of the day, a win for Disney and Universal here is probably good in the overall fight against AI slop. And that's probably good for the everyday artist. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. I'm probably going to keep track of this lawsuit if there's ever more progress and news to follow along. It'll be interesting to see as powerhouses of different industries collide. But what do you think? Can the House of Mouse and the film conglomerate behind the Minions hurt the generative AI machine? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more on it. Optimistic or pessimistic. But for now, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this little update. And I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!